Hello everyone and welcome to what is a bit of a switch up. Today we will contemplate the Blini. We will see how that pancake mix is made. So I have with us a new coach to the VBL who just had a very interesting season that I thought would be really cool to talk about. Pancake Mix of Queen's Majesty. Say hello.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
So this is an interview video, which is going to be more a new sort of content, though I do a bit of interviewee stuff when I am doing post-game analysis. So it's definitely not entirely new to me, to my channel, but definitely something that is a bit different in structure. So first things first, what was the first Pokemon game you ever played?
First Pokemon game I ever played would have been, I got Pokemon Blue when it came out. My family was moving and my parents wanted something to distract us in the car while we were driving, and so I got me and my sister Pokemon Blue and Red respectively.
Awesome. That's very wholesome.
Yeah, and I played all through Pokemon Blue. I jumped through Pokemon Silver. I transferred my Pokemon over from Pokemon Blue to Pokemon Silver, and then my aunt saved over my game, and I was very sad. And I ended up secretly making me take a break from Pokemon because I didn't play Gen 3, Gen 4, or Gen 5.
So you came back in with the 3DS generation with Gen 6 then?
Yeah, so that's Xerneas, right?
Yeah, X and Y.
So I picked Pokemon X. So they made my name's Xavier, and so they made a Pokemon game about my first initial of my first name. And so I was like, yeah, okay, maybe I'll play this one again. I'll get back in. I'll see how it's going. Oh, also, I had met Colby at this point, and Colby, had I met Colby at this point? What year was Gen 6?
2013. I think 2014 was the first Gen 6 draft format.
Yeah,
a VGC format. I think late 2013 it came out.
Okay, I met Colby at this point, and Colby had definitely had an effect on getting me back into Pokemon, in the sense that it was just really nice to be able to do the same thing as your friend. Colby being called Kodamarin, of course.
Yeah. No, don't worry. I've definitely Colby is definitely got that funny Star Wars reference.
Yeah.
In
then
Gen
I was
6,
and then I was.
Did you touch the VGC at all?
Oh, I think I EV trained a Pokemon for the first time in Gen 6.
Very powerful.
And then in Gen 7, I made an entire VGC team. I was like, hey, I'm gonna actually make a competitive team, and it wasn't actually that competitive, and it was running some Greninja stuff. It was fun.
Map block, it was quite funny if you did that.
And then Gen 8 was my first time being I'm making VGC teams. I'm gonna play a VGC tournament. I'm
great.
going to
The
do
perfect
this. And this
time.
was again a nice little progression of Colby and I being let's do this thing together. Let's make teams together. In fact, in Gen 8, we were there's a online tournament coming up. We're going to work together on the same team, practice it, build it, and then run the same team at the tournament, kind of thing. And in the way that a bunch of groups of players will let's figure out what the best thing is, run it. And we settled on a very fun hyper offense kind of thing with just
which format? So yeah, I mean hyper offense is, maybe a bit of a gimmicky term to use in VGC. I think tempo is probably a better description when it comes to VGC.
Sure.
Hyper offense is something I've been trying to use less as a term. Sorry, which series was this?
This would have been.
Or what was kind of the decks? Are we thinking the Mono Zacian teams, or
This was before. This was going right into GMAX stuff. And
they
so
were all GMAX.
This was before. Oh man, you're right.
Did Rillaboom have Grassy Surge?
No.
Awesome. Okay,
no,
so this was before the first DLC.
Yeah, this was before the first DLC, and we had a let's do Moxie Gyarados with Max Airstream and just try and set it up.
Awesome. It's definitely a fun thing. Gyarados was it lost bounce this gen.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking. So you went in there, and did you go? You played that online tournament. Did you go to the Sorry, I believe you're in Florida, correct?
Colby's in Florida. I actually live in Queens.
Is that in New York City?
It's in New York City, yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's very far away. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't. I just assumed that you guys were both in the same state, or at least I suppose you're both on the same seaboard.
Yeah.
About as far away
it
as
turns
you
out we
can
hang
get.
out. We secretly hang out more now that we're like thousands of miles apart than we did when we were like within driving distance.
Absence makes the heart go stronger. Which of the two of you left?
Yeah, Colby moved back to Florida. That's where he's from.
Okay. Did you go to any tournaments? Have you been to any of the IRLs? I think Pokemon Challenges. No, I think PC's of Pokemon Challenges are starting back up in North America. I think start of last month.
I've never been to an IRL Pokemon tournament. Is that true?
Because there's definitely
I think
going to be some stuff on.
I think by the time I was like doing competitive Pokemon things, the pandemic was in full swing. I think we. Yeah, no, I never made it. Never made it out to one.
Well, that is certainly something you can look forward to if you've touched it again since getting into draft. I know a few people that kind of quit regular VGC when they go draft time. Unfortunately, not one of those.
I know what you mean.
Much against my sanity. And I think you started another draft league right around the same time as this. But a bit before we get into that, we'll talk about. I think often other strategy games, especially card games, I think, and like chess to some degree, are very similar to a lot of the mindset of playing in Pokemon VGC, just with a greater degree of customization, so as well as a bit more consistency. So I just wanted to briefly chat about some other games that you've played, and like competitively, and how they may have influenced your thought process when you're coming into VGC.
Yeah, so I, like many people, started off playing Magic the Gathering in high school. Like I like ran into my like high school best friend who's like, I play this silly game called Magic, and I'm like, all right, well, I'll start playing that. And I played it all through college. I eventually, it's actually interesting. I only ended up stopping just because I like moved away from like my like set of Magic friends and community that I really enjoyed playing with.
You can't. It's hard to find a new card shop.
Yeah, exactly. And so I wasn't playing Magic, but I was going to like a weekly board game meetup, like once, maybe even twice a week. And I met another person, not Colby, who was like, "Hey, I'm really into Star Wars. I'm playing this Star Wars card game. You should check it out. I think you would like it." And he was right.
So just to briefly dwell on the Magic bit for a bit. We'll go game at a time as we go through these phases.
Oh yeah.
Because we still want anything. Are there anything that you think? Obviously, ramp is a very interesting concept in Magic that is different in a lot of other card games. With how the land system works, I actually am not familiar enough with the Star Wars one, so you have to tell me if I'm just saying stuff that's also in the Star Wars one. And the color system can be relatively limiting, but I think that Magic often has a lot of mechanics that, in ways different to other card games that I've played more often, like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Hearthstone, are very similar to Pokemon, where you have stuff like enhancements and auras and other types of like equipment sort of effects, which are similar to running items on Pokemon, but they come at a cost in-game, and then a lot of similar effects in terms of setup and situational things. So do you think there's much in terms of Pokemon, especially the concept of disruption, that you think influenced how you have been getting into Pokemon VGC from Magic?
Yeah, so one of the things that I can like pretty straightforwardly say, I'm a red player.
Small.
Red deck wins was my like thing that made sense to me. I like thinking about the race. I like thinking about how can I just set up, be faster than my opponent, be quicker than my opponent, like do a thing that my opponent, make my opponent be the person who has to figure out how they're going to deal with me, and trying to do that as quickly as I can from turn one. That's where this like the like Max Airstream Gyarados thing came from that I was talking about.
Yeah. Moxie's a very small ability.
Yeah. And so the one time that actually I went to a whole bunch of pre-releases, but I went to one like actual like Star City Games big tournament, like 200 people, and I was running Demigod Red from Shadowmoor block constructed, and basically it's a big 5/4 flyer with haste that says whenever you play it, get all the dead ones from your graveyard and put them into play as well. And it was just like, and I was running Figure of Destiny. I don't know if you remember that guy.
Dude, that's a pretty strong enters the battlefield effect, huh?
Yeah. No, it's actually a bonkers card. And it's funny. I spent a bunch of time testing with one of my friends at the store, and I could never beat him. He was running like 4-color mermaids, which I think was a silly deck.
That sounds insane. I definitely have never. I've only ever played limited, I think is what they call it in Magic.
Yeah.
So I cannot imagine running a 4-color deck. I hated running a 2-color deck.
The mana base in Shadowmoor was so flexible. And also a bunch of the things weren't actually mermaids. There were like 3 mermaids and a bunch of changelings, which were all creature types. So it was like it was a silly deck. But I couldn't beat him outside of when we were practicing. But in the tournament, I drew triple Demigod of Revenge. That's my 5/4 flyer with haste. And so like he got rid of the first one, and then he got rid of the second one. But then suddenly there were 3, and I was like, okay, I guess I get to win this time. And I ended up coming in 12th in that tournament, and he came in 13th.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and so that was easily like one of my biggest finish. That was easily my best finish in a Magic tournament.
So
like
how have you learned how to
I
apply
lost
fixing?
the game to make top 8. Say that one more time.
How have you learned to apply fixing into in the format? Is that the equivalent of Terra? Mana fixing?
I mean, a little like. Here's the mechanic. I'm so excited about this mechanic more than any of the other.
Terra's very interesting. I thought Dynamax was pretty interesting, and I am constantly impressed by like. So Megas, I think, were very uninteresting. Z-moves, I think, were okay. They're very underwhelming, but some of them were interesting, and sometimes they were okay. But a lot of times you had to dedicate them to check Megas because Megas were still just so overpowered. And then Dynamax was such a different, like, game-changing sort of thing. I think it's very interesting still. But Terra is way less overwhelming, but can be very, very good if you play it quite tactical, which I think is cool. Okay. So playing Magic stuff aside.
Playing Magic, try to go fast, try to be quick. Like I don't think I ever was really like, I'm gonna make a serious blue deck. The only blue deck that I made in any serious way is my EDH deck, which is a like full tempo deck. Like
a full tempo blue EDH deck. That sounds like an EDH deck.
It's like blue white. It's like I think I ended up being like blue green white, and it just has a bunch of bounce effects. Specifically. Even the effects that take it from in play to put it on top of the library, and I just get myself ahead, and I have a whole bunch of enter the battlefield effects, and so my Pokemon are bouncing.
Dude, this sounds like it's like Hearthstone Battlegrounds instead of Hearthstone Construct at this point. It's just battle cry. Okay, so that's pretty chaotic. Let's see if you can repeat that with get Palafin. That's your big enter the battlefield effect.
Okay, but
so Star Wars.
So
sorry.
So Star Wars was Star Wars really helped me build my community of friends here in New York City. Like one of the people that the person who introduced it to me was a good friend of mine. I went to my first tournament, and Colby won that tournament. That is how I met Colby. As I went to a Star Wars tournament in New York for the first time. Colby won. I was like, wow, this guy's really clever. He was running cards that we were like, these cards aren't good. These cards aren't like, I don't think this is worth running. And I was like, that's so interesting that's how he was playing.
That sounds like a very Colby moment.
I have a more Colby moment. The way that Colby and I became friends, because like we met each other, but we weren't friends. I came to a tournament a couple months later with an absolutely absurd style of deck. There's basically like the Magic equivalent would be I had a land that tapped for 4 that never untapped, and then I had a Princess Leia. When she leaves play, she untaps all your lands. And so I was like, all right, it's turn 1. I'm gonna play the Millennium Falcon and another thing, and then on turn 2, I'm gonna play Princess Leia, kill Princess Leia, untap my huge land, and then play another capital ship. And I think I ended up coming in second in that tournament, but Colby saw that deck and was like, what is this guy thinking? What is he doing? I need to know, I need to understand. And ever since then, Colby and I have been friends.
That's a very
like,
good
that
Colby
was, like,
impression.
it is a very clear moment where it's like, I don't know who this person is. Then it's like, okay, this person's doing something different, something I don't understand, something I need to know.
That sounds
then we became
such
friends.
a Colby moment.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's awesome. So is there much of that you think has informed how you've like at least thought about getting into VGC? Again, this is talking about VGC more generally. It can include draft. It can also be outside of draft.
Yeah,
because obviously it also having an equivalent of lands as ramp is makes it very similar to a bunch of also in a Magic. I feel like a lot of the other card games that are prominent are, I don't mean Magic clones derivatively, but like, sorry, not derisively. I don't think that being Magic clones a bad thing, because Magic's a pretty good game. But Magic clones in the sense of using systems like lands.
Yeah. Like, I think the mindset that like really transferred over into thinking about VGC is this idea of whatever my opponent is doing, I'm going to do something that they have to think about, they have to care about, they have to worry about. Like, I think the best example of this is my, like, after we did our, like, Hyper Optics League, our next, like, really big VGC team that Colby and I built together was Cat, so Hatterene and Lipard.
Very powerful combination. Very fair and balanced and reasonable, right? Just max guard, copycat, prankster, trick room.
Yeah, and so we were doing a whole, just so much fun stuff, and we had Torkoal on that team. Like, what a bonkers Pokemon.
Oh, painful.
Yeah, and
dude,
so
have you seen?
So we were running.
Have you seen the Gen 9 Lipard strat?
Oh wait, no. What are they doing?
So you just click Revival Blessing with it. So you just assist into Revival Blessing, and then after that you assist into Revival Blessing, and then you consider assisting into Revival Blessing, and then the thing you do right after that, right? So following the previous assist into Revival Blessing, do you know what you do?
Do you assist into Revival Blessing?
I think you might resist into a Revival Blessing.
Oh, that's funny. I'm imagining just like full Final Gambit team with like Staraptor, Annihilate, Ben, Veluza, and just being like, oh,
no,
didn't finish killing you.
No, the reason you can't do that, assist would pull Final Gambit. You don't do damage. You just click Revival Blessing.
Oh my gosh! And you PP stall the entire other team.
Yes.
That's brutal. That's not fun at all.
Very dumb. So it has to be like in that decks because Lightpot's not in the current game. But I'm kind of glad. All you can run in terms of other moves are multi-turn moves because you can't pull them off of assist.
Oh, great, cool.
That's very, very powerful.
So I ran Hatcat, and that was so fun for me. Just being like,
so you went full into your blue control. You know?
Yeah, just knowing that
like
my turn
the
one
heel
mix
turn
up.
Immediately.
Yeah, my turn one mix up whatever. Like they couldn't. I was able to play around all the things. Like, am I protecting Trick Room? Am I fake out Trick Room? Am I like not clicking Trick Room because you're gonna do it? I played a whole bunch of really fun matches where like my opponent set Trick Room for me, trying to like counter my Trick Room, where I was running G, and this was a Gmax Hatterene, and so just games where like I get the confusion off, and then they just lose because they can't. They were confused. I'm like, all right.
Gigantamax. What a fun. Befuddle? Was that the move?
Befuddle was Butterfree. This one was Smite.
That's
Smite.
right. It's the scary sounding one.
Yeah.
Because then there's the other one. There's the Grim one as well, which I think yawns both of them. Snooze. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like most of them sound like very non terrifying, and Smite.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very powerful.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome to see.
Like, it's probably
awesome to see your nonsense turning into more nonsense. I guess Copycat Trick Room is like ramp, right?
Yeah, it kind of is, because it's like, hey, what if I set Trick Room in +1 priority, and also it does fun things where, because Lipard is so fast, I've done the thing where they will reverse Trick Room, and I just copycat Trick Room again, so that my Hat Arena is first again, because I do it in priority, and it's just such a fun,
very powerful,
like, set of things that are
they can disrupt
that, like, turn into
with Protect though.
Yeah, and that's true. There's like it's like
no, I've played against so much Purloin, Riolu, Lipard, Trick Room.
Yeah,
that I've learned like all of the techs.
Yeah,
and then I just realized I can just play into their Trick Room slightly better because they have to waste one of their turns clicking Max Guard.
Yeah,
and then they click regular Trick Room.
Yeah, indeed.
No, so okay, that's solid. All right, now we'll move on to the next thing. How much in terms of Gen 9 VGC did you do?
Gen 9 VGC.
Oh, sorry, just a brief aside. In terms of the Star Wars card game, there's a lot of the Star Wars card game on the channel that I'll have linked, which is predominantly Colby's channel, but you also feature on it at least somewhat. I don't know if you're in any of that, but if anyone's interested in seeing the Star Wars the card game channel, definitely go check out the channel that's linked below, as well as some of the matches from Mr. Mix's side.
Wait, say your question again.
I didn't have a question. I just made a brief aside. Oh yeah, no. Gen 9 VGC.
Great. Oh, right. So, Gen 9 VGC. I have played like a little bit on Showdown. I haven't done any of the in-persons. I think it is unlikely that I make it to a regional.
That's
mostly just because actually.
Wait, you're in New York.
I'm a teacher, and summer's coming, and so I might take some time over the summer and like build a team. But
how do you find the strategy of teaching implement as like
oh my goodness,
like how do you find the strategy of teaching has made you instruct Colby on how to oh wait, is that spoilers for what?
No,
I do think teaching is a lot of interest.
Like, it actually is really important. If I'm going to talk about the things that I'm doing in VGC, it is actually really valuable to talk about really the combination of Colby and I, because that's one of the things that I think is actually the thing that makes us stand out. Colby and I, two very different styles, very different ideas for how teams should be made, how games should be played.
Of an underestimation to say two different style ideas. I feel like there's like at least 50 different ideas between like the 3 that you have and the 47 Colby has.
Yeah, and so it is my job to rein Colby in, make sure he doesn't get lost in the sauce, as we say. He's like, let me try this weird thing, let me try this different thing, and I'm like, and I'm just like, there's like, hey, is this something you're doing intentionally? Is that actually a plan? And I like, even the things that are like good, I make him justify to me.
Yeah. No, that's pretty important. I do that. I try to do that with different people, but like always someone. But doing a good bit with Goose this season.
Yeah, and I teach geometry, and so that's like I teach proofs, and so I'm like, hey, you made your statement. What does that do? Is that going to be worth it? Is that going to be valuable? And I just make him like think through it and make those decisions intentionally. And he does the same thing for me. But it's funny. My ideas are so much more Timmy, if to use a magic term. They're like big fun combos, like a team that I made after like getting a little bit of inspiration from Colby is a full priority justified Lucario team. It ran Vacuum Wave to be able to kill priority Iron Bundle. It ran Bullet Punch to be able to kill priority with priority Flutter Mane, and then it was Terra Normal Extreme Speed for everything else. And those were the only moves on it. So if it saw Psychic Terrain, it literally just rolled over and died.
What? So it just only had 3 moves? Didn't have Protect or something?
Yeah, and 4th move Protect.
Okay.
But it's like all priority, max special attack, max attack.
I'm sure they're going to release, hopefully in the DLC they release move tutors, and you can run Steel Roller with the 3 priority moves, and Steel Roller is only ever a Psychic Terrain is up.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, exactly that.
Okay, very, very powerful. So how did the two of you hear about VGC Draft?
I sub to Wolfey's channel, and so I'm in Wolfey's Discord, and he has a draft legume.
You like sub, like is that a paid sub Discord?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
Twitch one,
so
yes.
I guess it's just not Twitch. He uses YouTube now.
Okay.
And so if you pay for the sub, if you pay for the subscription, you get into his Discord. And I was like looking, I was like, because I've watched him do like the WBC. I've watched Wolfey do his drafts,
Man.
and I was like, oh man, maybe this is a thing that I would think is interesting. And so I went in. There was a like league called the Prismatic League that was like, hey, we're starting up a draft. And I was like, let me get in. And I told Colby, hey, we're doing this draft. And he was like, okay, of course, let's do it. And that was my first drafting experience. And one of the things I will say about the Prismatic League, it was a beautiful beginner drafting experience. They just like that league just actually had like almost like there were like 16 people in it, and I feel like 7 or 8 of us were actually also beginners doing our first draft league for the first time. So it was a lot of people kind of like fumbling around trying to figure out what is going on. And it's funny, I'll let you know, I went 7-1 in that league.
Oh, beautiful.
I first picked Pelipper, and last picked Palafin because of how their system set up. I was like able to like delay all my like my top tier pick.
Yeah, because it was actual tiers based.
Yeah, it was tiers based. Yeah, as opposed to points based.
Heartbreaking.
So I was like,
heartbreaking for people who did not take round 1 Palafin.
Yeah. But it was lovely. I had a great time. Palafin's a monster. That guy's so good.
In rain as well. That's obscene. So whenabouts, like in terms of like a timeline, whenabouts was that?
January.
Like, so it would have been
literally we were wrapping up playoffs of our first league when we were starting the draft of VBL.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that now we're coming to VBL. And I just realized I forgot to get the other screen up. I was thinking of so many things at the same time that I suppose I should have taken it for granted that I was going to forget one of them. No, that's the wrong one. It's this one. But we wanted to talk about your draft. I forget. Did you make transactions?
I made transactions immediately after my draft. Yeah. I dropped like Cyclizar because everyone told me Cyclizar was bad and that I shouldn't run it.
Who told you Cyclizar was bad?
Everybody. The Jordan especially. He hates Cyclizar.
Jordan hates. Okay. I am a big Cyclizar believer. Right, there's a video that will be coming out the day after this, which is a draft breakdown. In which I drafted Cyclizar, and I'm a big fan of it. I also pushed Goose to take it. Yeah.
I think maybe Shedtail is bad in VGC, but I actually think Cyclizar is fine. Yeah. Cyclizar is really fast.
Breaking swipe.
Has actually a really solid move pool.
Absolutely.
Can run it mixed. And is a dragon type. Like you can just pivot off of it if you really need to.
For sure. I did a finals run where Cyclizar was a big part of that because of its very, very strong typing. That said, it's also pretty good at shed-tailing into Dondoso, which I did have on the team.
Oh, sure.
That's a Pokemon that does appreciate the shed-tail. So you had Cyclizar and you dropped it for something.
I dropped it for Jumpluff.
For Jumpluff. Okay, to be fair, Cyclizar is probably like a top 50 mon in the league, and Jumpluff is probably like a top 30 mon in the format. You know?
Yeah.
That's definitely an upgrade.
Yes. I don't like Jumpluff generally.
I feel like you could have dropped any mon but Annihilate, and Jumpluff was an upgrade. It's just that good. Maybe not Volcarona.
Yeah, because I watched the old video when they were reviewing my team. They're like, man, Annihilate's pretty good, but he kind of needs screens. I'm like, well, who could I get
incredible
for
screen setup. You did have Rabsca as screens as well, or did you pick that up as well?
Rabsca's too slow, or like Rabsca. I love Rabsca. I'm telling you. Rabsca?
Clearly, I have to make a how to do screens video because slow screens are very funny.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I like didn't understand. So I was like, let me get my fast screens. Jumpluff I think ended up making it to all of my matches except for the one against the Jordan. And I was like, this is such a useful mod.
Yeah. I'm definitely not saying that Cyclizar is a downwards from Jumpluff. Cyclizar is a good mon. Jumpluff is an incredible mon. It is
having dragon type resistances on my team, and so I like would have gotten value out of Cyclizar.
Oh, yeah, you don't have
but
a
it was
fairy.
absolutely
Oh, sorry. Not resistances to dragon type. You mean like a elementals resist fire,
resisting
grass,
fire, water, grass, and
water,
electric. Just having that would have been nice.
Well, you had an immunity to one of those abilities. You did have a dragon type.
Yeah. Okay. To be fair, Sliggoo did come in clutch. Sliggoo.
You have 2 dragon types. Sliggoo's a good mod.
Sliggoo's a good mod.
Wait, Altaria. Altaria. It's Swablu's a normal type.
Oh,
Altaria's is dragon type.
I traded for that in week 6.
Oh, okay. So you did more transactions. I think that was probably the one I remembered.
Yeah, the Jumpluff one was easily the most important one.
All right. So the transactions probably was maybe jumping the gun. So what was the thought process? You went Annihilate, Volcarona, I think Jolteon, Kingambit, Crook, and then I'm not sure if any of the other stuff you picked up during draft or not.
Hope and I talked about, hey, what is a Pokemon that we can get that puts on pressure, that is cool, and like Annihilate may be my favorite new Pokemon from this gen. I was like, I want to go in on this guy. I think this guy's really cool. And he has a lot of flexibility because you can run him Bulk Up, you can run him Final Gambit, and Rage Fist is a terrifying attack.
Oh, it's absolutely broken.
Yeah, absolutely bonkers. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And then second, I was like, let me get Volcarona, gives me Tailwind, gives me Rage Powder, gives me Will-O-Wisp, gives me
It's
Flame
so
Body,
strong as well.
And then it can Quiver Dance and Sweep.
Oh yeah, I'm not even doing Quiver Dance. Like just Life Orb, 3 attacks, or like a Throat Spray with Bug Buzz. You can do so much without setup.
So fun. Yeah, exactly. And then I was like,
speaking of Throat Spray, yeah. And Robska, the other Throat Spray guy that I love Throat Spray on.
Yeah, I did get around to putting Throat Spray on Rapska, but it's because I fell in love with the defensive setup weakness policy Rapska. Rapska has so many weaknesses that he's gonna get hit for super effective, and so weakness policy always triggers, and then you get to then you're stored power at +2 stored power with six boosts because you like Iron Defense or Calm Minded.
But you're also at like 40%.
Yeah, you're right. It's true.
You know, spoilers.
Yeah, that is very true.
Did you ever use Carkol?
I didn't use Carkol. I figured out
that seems like a mistake. That guy's really good.
Yeah, no, I think Carkol is good. I think it was actually a good pickup. I figured out when, I had like a couple options for when Carkol would have come in, and it is a like Moxie Crocodile where I Will-O-Wisp them and then kill myself, and then anytime like Carkol gets like Incinerate, anytime I think a berry's gonna be important into like a Belly Drum mon, Incinerate comes in clutch.
I would also just consider that Carkol's really hard to kill, and it has Stab, Stone Edge, and Heat Crash and Flamethrower. Like, it just does decent damage. You didn't have a Rock Stab with anything else. Isn't it? Yeah, it's like, I'm a Crookator.
Oh, sure.
Putting that aside, like, I feel like Carkol's 60s in both of its attacking stats are honestly pretty decent.
Yeah.
It can sit on the field a lot, which is good. That's what I like about it.
Okay.
Sliggoo can also sit on the field a lot. Sliggoo's very good. You had a lot. I don't think any of these Pokemon are bad.
Yeah, no, I'm actually.
Except Crook.
I think. Yeah, no.
That's a joke.
I think I continue. I'm like a little underwhelmed by Crook. Like I think Crook has a lot of flexibility and could do things, but it's like it's just so standard if it's not doing Anchor Point things.
My thoughts on Crook are that it is a Pokemon that is meant to be like a Gloomon where it does a lot of stuff, but it doesn't do most of those things very well.
Yeah, I think that's super fair. I think that's super fair. I'm like, hey, here comes Crook with an Intimidate. Okay, but like it has to run away from the Fairy types and the Fighting types and the Water types and the Grass types, and like, okay, well that's too bad. All right, well, here comes this.
And then it clicks Earthquake, and then their like 4x weakness lives on 12%, and
yep.
Yeah, so then you need the Anchor Point set.
Yeah.
Which is
which I only got to,
no spoilers.
I only got to actually make work.
No spoilers. Let's no spoilers this. We'll get into that. So you went with a big double Dark type pair up after getting an early Jolteon. What was the thought process getting those 2 Dark types in a row?
I wanted something that just had a big number, and
Kingambit definitely has 2 of those.
Kingambit has 2 big numbers. It gave me a little bit of priority. It gave me a Steel type. It just fit into what I was looking for, and then the Crocodile played into. I had Crocodile Cryogonal in my first season, and I was like, this is actually a combo that I understand. I like working with. That's like a little bit of a comfort pick, a little bit of something that I'm familiar with.
Okay.
And Cryogonal just being 105 speed,
It's very good.
Cryogonal made it onto a bunch of teams just on like
It's
them being
a
little
strong
bit
guy
ice.
with good SpDef that's fast. That's
Yeah,
a pretty good
exactly.
combination. It's got support as well, and then it's like, yeah, definitely also has that utility with the Frost Breath that you did.
Yeah.
Robska's such a good guy.
Robska's so good. Yeah, Cryogonal ended up being like on teams.
What did you get Altaria during the draft?
No, I spent a bunch of time telling Colby I'm going to draft Altaria. I think Cloud9 is really good into the two very weather teams, but it ended up the weather teams were my last 2 games, and so I picked up Altaria just for that.
Okay. So I just reviewed all of the teams. People who are looking at the video can see the Anchorage Alakazams and the Virginia Blackbolts. Okay.
Yeah. So those were the last 2, and so I didn't think I needed it earlier. I would have liked it. Altaria is really good. It gets Will-O-Wisp.
I've played singles with Mega Altaria. It's used every single move that Altaria has ever learned to great impact.
Amazing.
So Will-O-Wisp,
amazing.
Cotton Guard, even before Body Press was in the game. I don't think it gets Body Press.
It doesn't get Body Press, but yeah.
Fire Spin Perish Song was a very, very gross addition when it learned Fire Spin. It just, the Altaria's done everything.
And it's really bulky.
Like I said, it's not as funny as Primarina. Primarina's Liquid Voice means that if you have a Storm Drain, Water Absorb Pokemon next to you, then they get healed or get plus special attack from Perish Song, but nothing has an interaction with Fairy.
That's amazing.
It's very funny. The downside is you then have 2 watered Pokemon on the field.
Yeah, it's funny. One of the things that I realized I maybe should have considered is like doubling up in like a combo with like Volt Absorb Jolteon and something, and like Volt Absorb Jolteon and like
any electric weakness at all.
Yeah, like who is it? Kilowattrel, and just like what if I just like
discharge. Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, could be fun.
My favorite one is Scarf Surf and Spec Surf.
Yeah,
I did a Vaporeon and Tatsugiri on that aforementioned Cyclizar Dozo team. It is incredibly fun. The Scarf Dozo Spec Tatsugiri because Scarf Vaporeon and Spec Tatsugiri because they're just very strong, and you get the +1 special attack from Storm Drain, and then you heal with the other one.
Yeah.
Very, very
something
good.
like that, and like I feel like in like a draft format, you're like, hey, this is just a thing that you have to deal with, and that was secretly the glue for my team.
Having Pokemon, like definitely something that I think you did relatively well in a lot of games was having Pokemon that your opponent could not view as trivial. I think something which is very significant is being able to view different options on your opposing team as trivial, whether it's due to field conditions or whether it's due to the status of that Pokemon. It's like all my friends are dead syndrome is a famous quote about, I think, Clefairy in specific. No, Chansey, that's right. But like being able to position or do stuff to make one of your opponent's Pokemon functionally trivial is very impactful. So yeah, ultimately I think you had a very well structured team, very good Pokemon. It's a shame Cockle didn't do anything.
Yeah, very proud, very happy with my draft. Learned a lot, would do a bunch of things really differently, but most of the things I think I would do differently are in the games, which I know we're going to talk about next.
Awesome. So let's go to week 1. This was your debut in the VBL, and this was one, I think, was it your first 3 or 4 weeks that you had videos for?
I think I had videos for my first 4 weeks. I got excited about during content week, like, oh, I'm gonna make some videos, but then I got to teaching in May and I was just exhausted.
No, that is definitely a fun time. I'm not American, so that's first week back from the mid-semester holidays, I think, for us. We do school from Jan to December.
You have a break. Yeah, no, it's just
I assume assessment.
Ending. I'm just tired.
Yeah. Okay. So game 1, and I just realized you can't see my screen.
I'm looking at it.
Yeah, but I click fast. I click hyper fast when I'm doing it myself, but I click fast when I'm doing it. Okay, so here's game 1. Just a brief thought process. What was your general game plan heading into this game? Like,
this was I'm going to explode. I'm running. I like practice with
you boom
Explosion
Skuntank.
and Lepaberry Revival Blessing Rapska, and
Okay.
so this
feels
is actually a
very adventurous.
this is a Scarf Skuntank as opposed to a Band Skuntank, because
Normal
it needed
gem.
to be faster than some that like if he had led
Iron Valiant.
Mousehold Valiant, I
Did he KO through Friend
Terra
God?
Normal Explode and I get both of them.
Through Friend God?
I think so. It's a bunch.
Bringing
if
Explosion
it
against Skeledirge seems like a very interesting play. All right, so let's see
It actually-
let's see how this works. So we did see the Skuntank Rapska lead. We did see Protect. Okay, because you were calling the. What's the item on Rapska? Is it not Covert Cloak? No, it's Leopard Berry. You said that. Yeah,
It's Lepaberry.
I feel like
Yeah, so
maybe
I can-
definitely Covert Cloak, so that you could actually boom and take advantage of telepathy.
Yeah.
Missing Gunk Shot's
Oh,
obviously
I
not
missed
great
the
for you.
Gunk Shot. Yeah, I think
but
maybe
like
if I get
it's
that gun shot, it goes better.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how different it
Yeah.
was. I think that when you started targeting Raichu was correct, but obviously you started a little bit late.
Yep, started a little bit late. Yeah, because Nuzzles were gonna come in and be a problem.
Funny rock move.
Um,
And then we come here. The Focus Blast doing 70%. Is that Assault Vest on the King Gambit?
yeah, Assault Vest King Gambit.
Okay. Pulling out the Sucker Punch there was pretty reasonable. But unfortunately, they still have 2 Pokemon left, and you only have 1.
Yep.
You've only got 1 boost into your Rage Fist, so they can just not boost your Rage Fist, and then they win and you lose because you didn't have.
And that's what happened. And that was the thing that I wasn't ready for. I was like, okay, he just gets hit sometimes. But it's like, actually, no, he never gets hit. And I'm
You
like,
have to switch him, I think, in and out a lot.
yeah, into the hits. That's the thing that so didn't work out on this one.
So yeah, we see many turns of you just kind of flailing there.
Yeah.
And you do reveal Drain Punch, which I think was a poor play. I don't think you should have revealed what your last move was.
Oh, that's fair.
Information game.
That's fair.
You don't want to show with the opponent what tech card you have. All right, and then game 2. What's your thoughts when you're coming into this adaptation?
Game 2, I was like, okay, maybe I can. What did I lead?
Maybe I can actually click boom this time.
Yeah, maybe actually click boom this time because I did set up that I could like click boom next to
Annihilate or
Annihilate.
the telepathy guy.
but
So we bring out Skuntank Annihilate, and they bring out Skeledirge, which is the worst thing for someone who is trying to boom.
Yeah.
Were you
Turns
Stench?
out. Yeah, I'm Stench.
Based. Flinching someone with boom seems hilarious.
Yeah, it happened in a couple of my
Mock games.
Mock games. But it turns out the play that I actually wanted here, and I realized this after the game. This is one of my things that after the game I realized what I like could have done, as you do. I'm running Toxic Spikes on my Scarf Skuntank.
Okay.
And if I Toxic Spikes once or even twice in any of these games, I think I win them. Because
doesn't
otherwise
Skeledirge just sit here most of this game?
Yeah, but I think I would have figured out a way to deal with Skeledirge. Like I have I guess like maybe Skeledirge gets me in this one, but I feel like I had a plan for like
it's just the Skeledirge thing, more in the sense of Skeledirge sat here this entire game and it wouldn't have been affected by Toxic Spikes because it wouldn't have switched.
Yeah, but what's his face? Appleton.
Wait, how much Terra Poison did you have?
How much Terra Poison? I think I'm Terra Poison on both my big guys.
Okay.
I spent a bunch of time being like, what is the best Terra type, the best defensive Terra type against the other team, and I put that on. That was consistently my Terra strategy.
Yeah, like Appleton definitely would have died with Toxic Spikes.
Yeah.
Though, did it die anyways?
Yeah, big Terra Poison.
Yeah, at this point you haven't been doing chip to Iron Valiant. Leech Seed neutralizes it, but then it would have been dead there. Yeah, definitely the Toxic Spikes could have been significant, especially when you do have the revival with it. Leopard Berry is interesting.
Yeah, especially because I never get my poison on Appleton after 7 attacks, and the play that I mess up is turn 7, turn 8. Turn 7 he Moonblasts my Rapska, does half. I'm like, I'm gonna live another one. And so I let him Moonblast me again, and he crits, and it was
He
probably
crits.
actually a roll.
Yeah. Okay.
But if
So
I
you
just
hadn't
Sucker
counted
Punch
for it?
there, I knew that I lived it, and I knew that it was like in between. But if I Sucker Punch there and I save my Vrapska, I get my second Revival Blessing off, and then I have like 4 Pokemon to cycle through,
Oh, you
and I
committed,
yeah, and then I just get there. Also, like I said, hitting any of the poisons would have been really helpful.
Did you actually get through? Like,
No,
I mean, assuming you
no.
didn't get the poison. Like, no, I mean, like, would having that extra Pokemon have actually gotten you through? I'm not sure.
Oh, yes, because he can't Leech Seed. Because right now my Pokemon are stuck because they're Leech Seed. I would have had 4 Pokemon. Whenever
could've
Pokemon is
switched
Leech
more.
Seeded, I can switch out. I can attack with the other one, and like worst case scenario, he gets PP stalled because he just has
That's
one
fair.
Pokemon
Only,
to my
yeah,
4
only
Pokemon
11.
of PP.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah,
and it's only
that's good review. How would you have? So say that you won the game like that. How would you then have gone into game 3?
I think I know that I'm not going to be able to boom. I don't remember what I'm running on my Volcarona, but it might be just time for I brought the same 4 Pokemon. It might just be time for Jump Left Volcarona, setting screens and trying to Quiver Dance up or something.
Okay. All right. So that's definitely some interesting stuff to take away. Why did you think that you didn't think of that Toxie-Spice play? Because you clearly brought it in prep for a reason.
Yeah. And I was just like, is it good enough? I just didn't trust it. I was like, is it good enough? Is it gonna work? I was excited about booming, but he set himself up that boom wasn't ever the right play, and I just didn't trust that I could spend the time not doing damage.
Even though Toxic Spikes is definitely damage.
Yeah, exactly. And it was definitely that was the mistake. It's feels like a thing where in my first couple of games I wasn't trusting my prep. I trusted my plan A prep, but I didn't trust my plan B prep.
But you also didn't trust the plan A prep because you didn't boom.
Yeah, no, he intimidated me, and then he brought Skeletor. So I'm like, okay, these are exactly the leads that I was hoping that I wouldn't do. And in those turns, I should have been okay, Plan A doesn't work. I should just Toxic Spikes. That's what it's for. That's the value that it would have brought. And I think I certainly would have gotten game 2.
And you
but yeah,
theoretically have gotten game 3, depending on how
perhaps
Raph adapted.
Game 3, yeah.
All right. Okay. So now. So that's good, sort of thing. But I don't know if you necessarily was learning that lesson.
Yeah.
So let's head to our next week, where you were playing the Proud Palafins, infamous for their ability to swing series, and you went for play of the season. You went for Powerful Power in turn 1, Artful play, and then Olgor into Fake Out turn 2, Artful play. This is really the only sort of place that we tend to respect in such a serious format as VGC. You then went for the screen. Incredible. You did exactly the thing that we were saying, and you switched Umir in on attacks. The pin missile's not loaded dice. I didn't even notice that last time I watched the series.
Yeah, it turns out +2 Rage Fist in a lot of cases is enough. And so I could run I think I was Cloak on McNulty in this particular one.
That's fair. Cloak is definitely a strong thing. That Hydro Pump doing nothing is quite funny because you didn't even get the other screen up.
Yeah.
I feel this turn 7, you went for the Rage Powder and the Rage Fist. I probably would have just attacked with Volcarona. There are a lot of times in this series where I feel like you could have considered just attacking with Volcarona, and it probably would have.
No, I think you're totally right. I think there were yeah. No, I feel that.
This is something I watched in another series where they had Indeedee, and then the Indeedee didn't have Psychic. It's but you have Psychic Terrain, so you're going to be doing a lot of damage with that Psychic to everything that isn't a Dark type, even to Psychic, to Steels or opposing Psychics. Just click the strong move, and having the ability to not be, like I said, not be trivial. If they realize that you're going to stick to Rage Powder and they're happy clicking a spread move, or they have safety goggles or their Terra Grass or whatever. I don't think they terrored this game, but you know, if they do any of those stuff, actually, why would they even Trick Room? They brought like a fairly fast team to then bring in Trick Room. Though I suppose you brought an even faster team.
Yeah, my team's really fast. That was my thing. Like I picked Jolteon because it was the fastest thing, not in my division.
Electrode.
Still, whatever.
Dragapult.
Electrode's not good. Right, Dragapult. Actually, I think maybe Dragapult would have been my second ghost type, but it might actually have been worth me picking up.
I'm not saying that you should have gone Dragapult, just that I do believe it was free at the time.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Dragapult would have been nice because I would have used it as my screen setter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, game 2 I clicked Strength Sap so much, it wasn't what I wanted.
Strength Sap, a very funny move.
Yeah, I like it. It felt
good.
They
led
like,
hard against Encore. Did you screen here? They revealed Scarf. Did you screen here?
I did screen because they're Raging Bulling me. I got a bunch of my screens broken by Raging Bull.
I like the idea of getting screens up to force another Raging Bull because I don't want them clicking CC.
Yeah,
they wind up clicking CC with the other guy, but that's its own issue. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of times so far that you can just like switch because you have Mer who likes switching into moves that it can take defensively. It gets the Trick Scarf, which, you know, I think at least to some extent you should have predicted when they revealed they were Scarf turn 1.
Yep.
But, you know, I can understand that there may not be as much familiarity with that.
No, a thing I wasn't ready for, and then I blunder super hard in this game 3.
We're still in game 2. We're still in game 2. You're blundering this one plenty hard at this point. You know, we don't need to skip to the next one yet. It's Struggle Bug. Look at how much damage that Struggle Bug did. That's a resisted hit into Iron Hands, and it did 5. But no, it does like 20 odd if you weren't critting that. Bro, that's pretty significant damage. You know, like that's most of a Citrus Berry. I feel like you maybe over-relied on leftovers as well.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, I think Citrus Berry or an Iapapa or what have you, or even what's the fighting move one?
Drain Punch.
Black Belt. To
Black
boost
Belt,
the power of Drain Punch.
Oh yeah, sure.
Reasonable considerations because you want the offense combined with the recovery, and you're less flexible in terms of switching because you want to stay in to get leftovers, and then you're also less flexible in terms of damage. Well, you're also doing less damage because of that. Okay, so game 3 they had a pretty reasonable lead, and it removed your big guy. I don't really know why you switched out Jumpluff that turn.
I think
Did you not have Rage Powder? I hope you didn't have Rage Powder, because then you wouldn't have Light Screen.
I did. No, I was making my play, and my play was I have Fling Starfberry to trigger my own
weakness policy and give yourself a random stat boost.
Yeah, and so it moves my stored power to +6. And then I was just gonna be like, all right, here it comes. I'm doing this.
Okay. On the downside, your Pokemon died because you knew that their Rotom was Scarf and you weren't Sash.
Yep.
And then you Terra Psychicked. You Terra Psychicked the guy who is. You just encored the Scarfer.
I know, and I remember like if you watch my video, I'm like so flustered in this moment. Yeah. I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I encored the Scarfer. Like this turn 2.
Yeah, so this is the thing I was saying. Its weakness policy got off and it died.
Yeah. The thing that this should have been, like the actual optimal play, is to Pollen Puff the slot. The Mimikyu? The incoming Iron Hands. Like right. I don't like because since I know that he knows he's about to get encored, he should leave. And anything that comes in, like if I can come in and break Mimikyu's disguise, I'm in such a better position. And so like that is way better than all the plays that I made or maybe even could have recently made.
Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of options there. Again, this question of how useful stuff in hindsight is versus getting the ability to actually make them in the moment.
No,
so you got the Defiant. Absolutely. No, you weren't Defiant. You were Vital Spirit, I think you said.
Yeah.
Obviously, obviously you weren't Defiant or Inner Focus because you just got intimidated and nothing happened. You were Sash. So they got a bulk up instead of +2 attack. On Jopluff, yeah. I didn't realize you were Sash. I guess with Raging Bull, it maybe makes sense. Oh, and that play rough. Sorry, that Rage Fist to Tauros feels
bad.
Like, why isn't it into Iron Hands? Isn't Iron Hands... Like, you're more likely to trivialize Iron Hands, because if it can't make a move without dying, like, if it's going to die instead of making an attack. Whereas Tauros, you don't threaten at all.
Yeah, no, you're totally right.
Like, you didn't have an out, but you had an out for differential, and that out for differential was removing Iron Hands. Or if they switched into Mimikyu, or if they switched into the Rotom. Probably Rotom wouldn't have died. Mimikyu, I think, still had its disguise up, but you were pretty likely to live 2 hits. And then you go for this protect here. I don't know why you would protect this turn instead of the previous turn, because then you could theoretically get an extra protect off and all of that. And then you go for a double protect, which is super unnecessary.
The double protect lets me live the
oh wait. Yes, sorry.
And it gets me my single differential. Yeah.
I was saying the words wrong. So, because you didn't protect the previous turn, you then had to get a double protect, which was an unnecessary risk.
Yeah.
So if you protected the previous turn, you would have been able to get the extra turn leftovers without having to go for that double protect. Though obviously you may not have great damage intuition on the +1 Tauros into your +1 defense, but that's also just neutral damage, so I don't know. Yeah, obviously getting Rage Fist out on there. I guess maybe your out was dodging 2 play roughs, but then Mimikyu, I think, was going to get through you.
That's almost what I was thinking. Is like, okay, it's like play rough can miss. That's actually probably what I was thinking. Is play rough can miss, and so like that's probably why I switched from the Iron Hands. I remember thinking that. But yeah.
Honestly, they should have switched into Mimikyu on that last turn. No. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, I think that feels
there's reasonable considerations, I think, to make. Or if they had Protect, I don't think they revealed Protect on Tauros. They did reveal Protect. They should protect a Tauros and switch Mimikyu into Iron Hands into Mimikyu. But you know, playing for differential is a lot of picking at sticks. You know. All right, now we get to the triumph. Not just one game triumph, but the whole series, where maybe Colby might have gone a little bit too lost in the sauce. So, and you got Spring Slicker.
Yeah, I got Spring Slicker.
I think this Goth was actually Shadow Tag, which is a rarity.
Yeah, Colby, like, spoiler alert, Colby is like, maybe Shadow Tag, maybe not, sometimes. Hard to tell.
I think Colby has run like 1 Shadow Tag and like 3 competitives. No Frisks, even though Frisk is the good ability.
Frisk is really good.
So what are you thinking here? Yeah. Game 1 lead. What's the game plan?
I think I have Bullet Seed on Queen Amidala. Let me see if I can pull up.
I assume Queen Amidala, by essence of having Bullet Seed, is Jump Bluff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's been hard enough trying to remember Colby's nicknames, and they are not like, you know, I don't have a strong association with something else with that name. Like, I think Queen Amidala. I think Queen Amidala. Not necessarily Jump Bluff. That said, I do that to myself all the time as well, when I've like nicknamed my Pokemon after things. Okay, so you got Bullet Seed, and you want to Bullet Seed into Arcanine Annihilape to get up Rage Fists. Okay. So is that the lead you went with?
That's the lead I went with.
That is the lead you went with. It's definitely not the play you went with, but because I was very confused by this play from Colby. I don't think they were Life Orb. Sorry, they were Specs. They weren't Life Orb, and I don't think they were like Pixie Play's not in the gen. So all they could have been was Specs, and I don't believe they were Specs. Huh.
Yeah.
What was the Pollen? Sorry, turn 2 Pollen Puff into Gothorita. Was that intentional, or was that a misclick? Like, I get that Shadow Claw wasn't picking it up, but why not heal the Annihilape if you think you're getting a turn off, which you are, right?
I think I wasn't afraid of. Apparently, I wasn't afraid of Gothorita, and I thought maybe Pollen Puff plus Shadow Claw would have gotten it.
Yeah, it would have picked up, right? But
yeah.
Why not heal up Annihilate.
I think I just wanted the kill. I think I wanted the kill.
Yeah, I just would have thought that maybe it was a bit trivial. It revealed Helping Hand. Of it's going to be pretty support oriented. I think Colby literally didn't bring Psychic on this week, and I think he lost because of it. But I also don't know that Psychic would have picked up. Would you Rage Fist and Shadow Claw?
Let me see. I'm looking at it now. No, I'm actually just Shadow Claw.
Okay, so I don't think you were bullet
Scarf.
seeding to yourself.
You
are Scarf.
Yeah, I'm Final Gambit.
Oh, that's right. The Iron Moth is also Scarf.
Yeah, I'm Final Gambit, but Battery Acid is the Iron Moth is faster than me.
Yeah, because it's also Scarf. Yep. Yeah. That's right. I'm trying to I'm remembering this video I watched two sides of.
No,
okay,
so my prep was really weird. The important thing is that I am Scarf slower than my Jump Pluff.
Yep.
So I could
you can pull and puff
it back up.
I remember
that. Makes me slower than the Iron Moth that I just could have been faster than.
Right.
And that's just that's what happened.
Right. The Iron Moth is not also Scarf. It's also not Specs. I don't remember what item it has. It might have been Sash.
It's Sash.
It is Sash. Yeah.
It's Sash.
So imagine if instead of going for the KO into Gothorita, which again is a Gothorita, you'd gone to break the Sash on Iron Moth with the Pollen Puff.
Yeah, that's fair.
Just feels like, there's a lot of utility. I also think they're using the Iron Moth very offensively. For someone who is like, I want to be offensive, you sure are clicking like nonsensical setup moves a lot of the time, which is not. It's a very passive play, even if it is ramping.
Yeah. I think in a bunch of my prep I was like, hey, if I can get to like +1 Volcarona, it just like starts OHKOing things. If I can get to in my game against Tsukaba, spoiler, if I could get to like +2 Swords Dance.
Just consider this one thing. 1 +2 hit is the same as 2 neutral hits.
Yep.
This is why I love Choice Band.
Yeah, it's like, yes, one. That means it takes 4 hits to do 2 +2 hits, and you can do it in 3 if you use Sword Stance first, and that is like the thing.
Yeah, so
we learned, and that's exactly the difference.
We learned at the point in turn 9 that Goth is
no attacks.
Goth has no attacks, so it is functionally trivial, and it should be either removed to prevent it setting Trick Room / Reflect, or ignored if you. And I think, like at this point, with Sizzle Burnt, if Annihilate was healthier, it's a very different game.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Yeah, and the
Terra Ice also seemed a bit. I was confused by both of you guys' plays there, to be honest.
Yeah.
What Terra were you on Annihilate?
I am Terrifier.
Okay, so if you'd Terrified there, you would have picked up Sizzle.
Yep.
But obviously you didn't know which one they were going to Bullet Punch. And I don't think anyone did. So we see the fake out here because they know who your cloak is. I forgot how greedy your turn 1 play here was.
Which one is this? Is this my...
Game 2.
Game 3?
Game 3?
Oh, which game are you looking at now?
Oh, it's a very good question. Game 2. It is Game 2. It's turn 3. Sorry, like turn 1 when you just like cryogenal die for no particular reason.
Oh, yeah.
Because you saw that they had fake out, so you knew that fake out was a threat, and then you were like, oh, question mark. But so the Quiver Dance doesn't cover for Trick Room. Cryogenal could not OHKO, so you weren't covering for Trick Room unless you were trying to get a freeze.
Yep.
So what was it? What why not protect? Why not switch? Why not? Just feels like a really bizarre play.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not sure.
I also don't even fully understand the league.
I think I hard read that he wasn't going to attack me, and I was just very wrong. Yeah, and I'm looking at the team, I'm like, I'm not
even
sure
if you had hard read that they weren't going to attack you, what did you achieve by having Cryogenal stay in? Because it was going to get faked out. Or, I don't know, were you trying really hard to prevent Trick Room, but you weren't doing anything, like... whatever play
No,
you were
I'm not-
making with Cryogonal wasn't coherent with the play you were making with Volcarona.
Yeah, no, I see what you mean. Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking at it now, I'm not sure.
I just feel like, yeah, sometimes people are like, okay, I'm going to do setup, and then I'm going to have a completely different game plan with my other slot, and often setup needs support. So yeah, that's definitely my, like, I'm not, you know,
Yeah, no.
I'm not branding you,
you're-
I'm just
you're-
like
No,
thinking about all the ways
it-
that I
it-
think about things. Because yeah, you
Yeah,
did unfortunately wind
maybe.
up losing. No, you didn't unfortunately wind up losing. Sorry. That's completely wrong. They just Colby also makes some interesting plays this series. The protect
no, I
there
don't
was
know what
also like feels like hard calling.
Yeah, no, protect would have been just fine.
Yeah.
Would have been great.
Yeah, I feel like this like I look at this series and it doesn't feel like this game 2 you played particularly well. You just had the right stuff.
Right.
And
like I think
like you adapted,
maybe I was
you brought the right 4, like a very correct set of 4. I mean, Sligo maybe would have been fine. Like Cryogonal was the thing, but like Volcarona was able to ignore a lot of them. It viewed a lot of the opposing guys as trivial. The Crocodile Earthquake was pretty good. Like I think all the vote damage to Volcarona was from your own Earthquake, or not all of it, but a chunk of it.
Yep.
No, all of it, every single. Yeah. So like they just
yeah,
were not able to hit it, and then so Queen Amidala, very good support for this set. You could also have considered protecting on your own Earthquake, though I don't know that was necessarily correct because the Fiery Dance was pretty impactful. But sometimes you have to damage yourself, and sometimes you have to protect when you would otherwise damage yourself. Yeah, it's just the Cryogonal play. Like a lot of, I think of, like I said, I think of it like in card game terms, where when you're trying to develop here, you have the other slot, and that other slot could be spent on tempo, or it could be like a greedier play, like you were going for, where you were developing towards a longer game. I feel like Cryogonal was sitting in front of 2 Pokemon that didn't threaten, particularly well. So you should have developed by bringing in Crook or Jumpluff.
Yeah.
Or
Crook to get the Intimidate, or
it's not Intimidate. It's Anger Point.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, and then so like if you'd gotten that off, it was a play. It's just a lot of thinking through. Okay, what is my opponent doing? I need to respect the plays my opponent is making, which I feel like that turn 1 wasn't necessarily.
I wonder.
Or
Like,
I need to
looking back at it,
disrespect
I
the
wonder
plays
if I
they're
had I wonder if I had the like hedge into. I could have switched into Cryogonal because I'm Assault Vest, so I live my own crit without Terra. Maybe that's the thing that I was thinking. But yeah, you're right. I don't know.
into Crook,
I don't know.
but you didn't switch into Crook, so
I did. I know. I did.
Yeah.
I did. I don't. Maybe that's what I was thinking when I led, and then I was like,
unless you
I don't
frost
know what else
breath,
to do anymore.
unless you frost breath the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
I've seen what your play was in the first time, but yeah, it's a lot of just thinking of like, okay, if I'm being greedy with the Volcarona, I should make sure the other slot is doing something that plays into that game plan. And I feel like getting the frost breath into greed isn't necessarily doing that. All right, so we go into game 3. This is like a pretty heads up series where a lot of it has come down to the fact that the truth was not really the truth.
Yep.
That confusion, and then you final gambited.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it worked out, so
Yeah.
I can't really say much more.
It didn't really work out. I was so.
You just had to
I
dodge
was
a hurricane.
So stressed.
It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Like if I dodge the hurricane, I'm feeling really good. And then Sliggoo gets here, and Sliggoo.
Tailwind. Okay. Body slam into that slot. That's right, and you were rewarded for good plays.
Yes, I was rewarded.
That's how you know you played well. Okay, that's right. I forgot you quiver danced, even though they were mirror herb.
I say that in my video. I'm like, oh.
That's right. I remember you saying it too.
It's like, oh, I knew that was gonna happen. But it
What?
and I'm like, and I spent my Terra because I'm Terra Rock on
Terra Rock.
on Volcarona, which is perfect into these 2 guys, but notably not perfect into Scissor.
Yes.
And then I nail the turn 5 crit, and then I get to get it from there.
And you get the power again with Body Slam because you're just a skillful player. And then you on-call them into Hurricane, even though they're probably feeling okay clicking Hurricane.
I was like, Hurricane's really likely to miss. That feels fine. You could be Hurricane.
Yeah. So ultimately, that was a pretty funny. I think it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Jump Off was just Reflect, right? No, Sleep Powder. Wouldn't Sleep Powder have been better? Oh no, it was Parrot, so you couldn't Sleep Powder it. Yeah, okay. Yeah. You know what? Encore makes sense. So look, I think that was a series where both of you had some interesting techs, and you played them pretty interestingly. I feel like you often commit very hard to like the bit.
Yep.
That sometimes costs you.
I have a motto that
like imagine if the Intimidate.
I know. Yeah, I have a motto, and it's step 1 get there, step 2 be there.
Yeah.
and that.
So, Sukawa, this was a game you specifically wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Let's view this from our protagonist side. So this game, you look at team preview, you see Electric, one of the best Pokemon in the format. You see Slowking, one of the best Pokemon enabling Electric, as well as Copperajah there. And then you see Tailwind option with Great Tusk and Baxcalibur. And then your main thoughts are?
I prep for this. I'm ready. I'm going to. So I lead Crocodile Jolteon.
Yep.
Jolteon faster than his Talonflame.
It's Faint Thunderbolt, right?
No, it is not Faint Thunderbolt because I figured he would be super ready for Faint Thunderbolt.
Okay.
Because that's how, like, in the previous week, he died to Faint Thunderbolt.
Okay.
On his thing, and I'm like, oh, also Crocodile doesn't get Faint.
Oh, okay.
My Faint.
I didn't think it was that good, but you know.
Yeah, my Faint is on Skuntank.
Okay.
But it is Scarf Crocodile, so that I can be faster, so that I can like either rock slide it. But really, what I want to do is I know that if I Terra Fighting Low Kick, I kill this
Crook.
I kill this
Baxcalibur. Baxcalibur. Okay, so the idea is Terrifying Low Kick and then Jolteon. Just
quick attack
Thunderbolts?
so that I get the Low Kick off before Baxcalibur can go.
Okay. That quick attack goes off. The low kick goes in. You crit both of those attacks. I don't think that mattered, but that's very funny.
Yeah.
That feels like something that's got very weak follow-up.
What do you mean?
So they have their flying type in against your fighting type, and then their other Pokemon's going to be faster than Jolteon because they get to set up Tailwind anyways.
Yep.
It's like you had a very flashy turn 1 play, but it didn't turn out to be a very good play. And you know what? You got the Sash, and you got that Rage Fist. That's the main thing you wanted, right? Was the Rage Fist.
Right. I get
and you don't have Terra anymore, so you can't deal with the fact that they're spamming Earthquake at all. And you decide to sack HP on Crocodile, the Scarfer that's faster than this Pokemon when they're not in Tailwind, which you probably should have been trying to burn out. Baby Doll Eyes is a good move.
Yeah, I was like, let me get this Intimidate off. I'm like, hey, Intimidate, Baby Doll Eyes, -2. Maybe we'll be okay.
Oh yeah, and you Sword Stanced. I completely forgot about that. Did you not have Kowtow Cleave?
I probably do.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like sacking the HP on Annihilate wound up costing you pretty hard. Also, being Leftovers cost you pretty hard because Citrus Berry would have been able to take that extra Intimidated better.
Take the second one, yeah.
So, yeah. Item usage. Leftovers is not a great... So, like, you say you want to build this tempo game, right?
Yeah,
but Leftovers just do not cohere with that.
Let's make a 10-turn game so I can get value out of Leftovers.
Like,
yeah.
Leftovers, how many turns does it take to get the 6% up to being more than 25% from Citrus?
5.
It takes, it needs to be 5 turns of you staying in and getting Leftovers after being below 100%.
Yep.
I think the other place Citrus Berry is a really good tech is against multi-hit moves because you heal in the middle of them. Yep. So that was a very rough start, right?
Yeah, because I was like, I didn't think I needed to be worried about -3 great Tusk. I like that. My whole plan is like, hey, if I can get it down to -3, look how weak it'll be. But it is Terra Ground, Choice Band, Photosynthesis, Earthquake still, and it's just I just like
the only like super significant stat drop is from neutral to -1. All of the other stat drops are very minor.
Yeah.
And you can, if you use strength stat a lot, you can tell because you heal back way less. But it goes from 0.67 to 0.5, and you said you're the maths teacher. What is the functional difference of that 0.17?
Not that much.
Because I know that 0.5 to 0.4 is 20% decrease in damage, but the first one is a 33% decrease in damage. That is a very significant drop. I think the next one is not even, like, the next one is 26% decrease in damage. Like that's a sturdy like drop, right?
Yeah.
And your Pokemon are still weak to it. Like that, committing to the Terra Low Kick, that'd be great if that was a significant turn, but it like didn't really matter at all.
Yeah, it didn't end up being enough. Yeah.
Whereas Low Kick probably did okay damage to Dusk, but then you also had Copperage to worry about. Like, sniping back Excalibur was really cool. It just cost you both of your Pokemon, and then it also wound up costing you your back 2 Pokemon as well.
Yep.
Because you didn't have Terra.
Yep.
So that's definitely, a concern. Also, they could have Terra'd and then it wouldn't have worked out. Okay, game 2, they bring the broken lead. You crunch and Thunderbolt into it, right? Yeah. Which, I think if this was Slowbro, maybe that Thunderbolt would have done more damage because it's not as good into it. And they get the light screen up, and then you're just like, oh no. You have Robska in. I'm pretty sure this is like that defensive Robska you were talking about.
Yeah. It's
just slow.
Yeah, it's just slow.
You're too much into your blue Mario game. You got to think. RWG.
Yeah. So the thing that I learned from this game after like having it not work
you can't mind it again.
Yeah. And because I'm like I'll be so safe, but I like
and then the crit matter as well.
The thing I learned is I need to predict the turn that my weakness policy is going to go off, and I need to start doing things on that turn. And so this turn where I like Calm Mind again, if I just like I'm like okay, it's time. I need to go in.
That's right. You low kicked
it'll be great. And now it looks really cool, right?
So were you synchronized? Why didn't you Earthquake there? Oh, because you're Scarf and you didn't want to kill your own Gambit? No, but it's Water type.
I think I synchronize? No, I must be. I don't remember.
Because you lock into Low Kick when you're not even Terra'd. And like they're at 8%, and then you blunder your attack into Protect.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like your game plan came very close to winning. It's just that your game plan required you to commit really hard, and then also your opponent needed to not punish you for it. Which, game 1, your opponent didn't punish you for it, but your game plan, you overcommitted to it, and you overextended yourself. And then in the second game, your opponent punished your game plan, and therefore you lost as a result of that. Which is, two distinct gameplay situations. But yeah, I don't know. Like, meme sets are great, but only if they work.
Yep. Yeah.
And then we come to the Titan. You sitting at 1-5, coming against the 6-0 player. That said, your team is broken. Like, let's be honest. Most of your games were either pretty close or you just did not read the room correct.
Yeah. No, that's the thing that I felt like is like, oh man, if I were a little bit better of a player, I would be like easily 4-3 in this season. And I'm like, okay,
I think this is a 6-1 team, like so okay, very good.
Well,
I mean,
I wasn't gonna say it, but like a lot of, like I said, on a bunch of the games we
does that mean
like,
that
hey,
does that mean with a worse team you would have been an 07 player?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And you played some very good coaches I have a lot of respect for.
Yeah,
and also Colby.
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, that's the thing that I like.
I'm not going to ask the coaches I actually don't have respect for because
Yeah, no, he'll understand.
He'll also actually watch this far. So yeah, I feel like we've gone through all that, and now we've come full circle, and we And what do we see? What do we see in this particular turn, or in this particular game?
Me committing. We see me doing prep, committing to my prep, being like, hey, my
Was that loaded dice?
Yes, this one's loaded
cool.
dice.
Do you know what the most tragic thing was last season?
What?
I bought loaded dice Jolteon against Meowscarado.
Oh no, and you missed the pin missile?
No, it's 100% or 95 or something. No, they just
right?
They just like beat me otherwise. I think they had like Rage Powder or something, or they Terrored, or they switched, or it was just like I never got it to go off. I think no, I played 2 series with it because I had it in 2 separate leagues at the time. I played one of them. The Meowscarada never hit the field, and then the other one, I think it was like Scarf, Libero, and then it's like, okay, well, great. Thanks.
Just gotta have fun. That's too bad. But yeah, here I am. I'm like, hey, I see something. I see like, Klefki. I'm like, okay, Klefki's gonna do whatever. I'm a tiny bit afraid of this hurricane, but it'll be fine. I'm faster. Yep. I'm Scarf to be 1 speed. I'm 1 speed.
Under
faster
Jolteon.
than max speed.
Juggles.
Not juggle. Oh, I think I'm 1 speed faster than max speed, not booster Juggulus, because I couldn't get over booster Juggulus.
Yeah, obviously you can't get over booster Juggulus. It's just Scarf on itself.
Yeah. And so yeah, and like my Jolteon's a little bit faster. I'm gonna get this pin missile off. I'm gonna Rage Fist this Pelipper, so that it never gets its hurricane off. And then he switches in. He switches in to set up his Trick Room, and I'm like, oh yeah, that would have been a great plan, because like a super reasonable turn for me would have been like Thunderbolt the Pelipper, bulk up with the Annihilate, and that would have gone really poorly for me.
Yeah.
And the Terra Flying is important to live the hurricane.
Yeah, do you have some bulk invested?
Yeah, I'm almost max HP.
Yeah.
In fact, I have enough HP to Final Gambit max HP Garchomp.
The damage intuition definitely
totally
says the numbers here are a bit off. So then we come here, we pop the Rage Fist into Klefki, because you figure you can pick up Pelipper. Here you switch out to preserve Annihilate. Was there a specific thought process on that switching? Like, obviously, you didn't have a lot to lose, but theoretically you could have lost stuff.
I was like, my flying type's a little afraid of this electric type, and I finally, like, the thing that actually happened in this game, and maybe one of the things that contributed to me winning, I finally used the synergy between my 2 big guys types. Like, all the things that are like you're excited to hit Annihilate with, you can't hit King Gambit with, and vice versa.
Except for Scrappy Close Combat.
Yeah, except for Scrappy Close Combat. Yeah. And so
I don't actually know if there's a Scrappy guy in this game.
It's Flamigo.
Flamigo, that's right. I had it last season. It never did anything. It nearly did something once. Still made playoffs.
And I was like, wow, look at me finally using my things. Did you see? Like, every time I switched in, I got a resisted hit on switching between those 2, and I'm like, wow, maybe I should have been doing this all season.
Yeah, I feel like just this turn when you switched out, you went with the Sucker Punch play here. I feel like, I know I often oscillate very wildly between, hey, let's play for differential, and hey, let's just be offensive. But I feel like I probably would have at that like place where I'm 4 up. I don't know if I would have necessarily risked it. I don't know what's going on, so I would just commit attacks. Like, maybe a substitute Eel is then able to Drain Punch through because they have their room service, so they're slower than King Gambit. So I probably would have played very conservatively and sacked the Annihilate.
Reasonable.
But obviously you dodged anyways, so. That's my one concern there. Like, that's not a major concern. That's just a risk tolerance sort of thing. I don't even know what your 4th guy in the back is because you didn't make a video for this one.
I think it's Cryogonal. Cryogonal, I was very happy about in this matchup because it was super effective against a bunch of his team.
Yeah, it hits everything except for Eel and Klefki super effectively.
Basically, yeah.
Not just basically, right?
Yeah.
That's just
Oh no, and that's I'm talking about his whole
roster.
11.
Yeah.
Yeah, his whole 11. It gets like 6 or 7 things super effective. thanks to freeze dry. Yeah.
Florges, Toxicroak, Grumpig. Grumpig resists Ghastly.
Yeah, Grumpig resists.
Grumpig is the only resist. Grumpig broken.
Yeah.
So yeah, then we get to game 2. And we see you repeat the same lead, but then make very different plays because they also led fairly differently.
So
you switch into that resisted hit, you go for that Thunderbolt. I was very confused.
That it went down to the Thunderbolt?
No, that it was slower.
It's not slower. It hurricaned.
You're completely correct. Somehow my brain said that Garchomp did that.
Oh, yeah.
You're right. It was not slower. My brain just was like, oh, well, that doesn't make that much sense, but it does make sense.
Yeah, I was not. I knew that was a good hit. I was not fully expecting to pick up that kill. I think if he has, I think that is probably a
your
roll.
Nicknames are not all Star Wars themed. Are they all Monarchs? Is that what it is?
Yeah. All of my.
I mean, I
guess
guess a Lich King
were Majesty of some form, royalty of some form.
Right. Because so why is your team name Queen's Majesty? It's like mage mixed with majesty.
It's because I forgot how to spell Majesty.
Oh, okay. That's not as fancy.
I was like, Majesty should have a G in it. That sounds, yeah.
That sounds majestic.
The fun fact, some Majesty lore. I just forgot how to spell Majesty, but I think it looks cool with the G.
Sure, I just thought it was something to do with mages.
No.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily call Arceus the thing. Obviously, he's the prince, but yeah, maybe I'm just salty.
No, isn't he the Lich King?
Yeah, but he's not the Lich King. The Lich King's the Lich King. There must always be a Lich King. I wouldn't call Bolvar a king.
Wait, is Arceus not the Lich King?
No, Arceus is the Lich King, but the Lich King is the Lich King, right? It's just using him as a meat puppet.
Sure, whatever.
Because then otherwise, Bolvar, it's dude, I know way too much about the lore. Dude, I mean, I like the lore, but I know way too much about the lore. I like fantasy lore in general. So ultimately, I mean, obviously it's a pretty good way to end the season, is bringing a game plan that works out. You brought the full tempo, right? You didn't go for a greedy setup line. You're like, okay, I'm sacking this turn with Jolteon, but I'm getting a useful turn out of Annihilate. And, also in the consideration that they might be scared with their Pelipper. And it works out, and then you continue into game 2 of I'm not going to be greedy, I'm going to preserve, I'm going to make sure that I am keeping in mind what I can get out of turns when I'm making switches and what I can get out of turns after I make the switch. So I think that that's definitely the evolution of a draft league player. Going from 7-1 to 2-5 shows that you just played a better league that wasn't 8 weeks long.
Oh yeah, I was so much more impressed with how good the people in this league were. A lot of my 7-1 games last time were here's Pelipper, here's Palafin. I guess you can't deal with it, and then I would win. No,
sorry, the joke was meant to be that 8 weeks somehow makes the league worse, whereas the 7 weeks, those 7 weeks was much better.
Gotcha.
No, obviously this is a league with some very good players, and also myself. And we're very happy to have you in it.
Yeah.
I just make videos. That's what I'm here for.
No, I'm so glad that I did this league. One, I really like the VBL community. Y'all are very fun. Y'all are very cool. Even though I was getting my team rocked this whole season, I never felt that people were oh, I'm just going to disrespect the Queen's Majesty team. They were I gotta prepare. No one brought things that they didn't think were right against me.
Okay. So are we calling out Steve here for bringing absolutely terrible teams for his last couple of weeks?
Oh, I didn't even notice.
Sorry. Steve, especially if you watch his videos, he brought some incredibly nonsensical stuff in his later weeks because he just he doesn't want to real prep and stuff. Yeah, very amazing. He went 6-1, and he didn't bring functional teams for his last 3 weeks.
That's funny. That's funny. So his playoff run's gonna be legendary, is what you're telling me.
Well, Steve was the season 1 champion, so he probably won a season again since then. I just have no idea. I just know that he's the season 1 champion because I've been watching the
awesome
thing. Ultimately, have you ever seen the extended conversation in Polish, I believe it is, about the meme that's on the thumbnail? about what expression do you think the cat is making? What are they conveying?
Wait, the VBL Discord thumbnail?
No, the cat on the thumbnail of this video.
Oh, I have seen that meme. It's something, I don't know. I forget what it is.
Oh, there's an extensive discussion in like the extended meme. What in your personal view is the emotion that the cat is conveying in that image?
Oh yeah, that cat is it's a little angry. It's as if the pancakes that it's presented with were not up to its standards.
Oh, okay. You think it's a bit snobbish?
Yeah, a little bit.
Maybe it's not too keen on the yogurt. Maybe it prefers. Maybe that's one of like the more tangy, sourish ones, and it's more fan of like the yogurt with the fruit in it. You know, I think that is an interesting addition to the discussion of art media. And with that, I thank you so much for your time. I have successfully managed to waste about 2 hours of it if we include the pre-video time. So
yeah, no, electric. Thanks. Like, one of the things that I love is like doing a little bit of reflection, doing a little bit of review, like being able to like really solidify some of the lessons that I've learned this season through like talking out loud with you has been really excited, and I'm so excited to bring this learning into next season. I'm so looking forward to it.
If I'm lucky,
I'm hooked.
I'll get accepted back next season. I've got a playoffs run coming up, which is terrifying.
I'm excited for you. Good luck beating Colby. Colby and I are gonna be in the tank.
Look, at least it's impossible, I think, for me to play Colby round 1. Yeah, it's impossible for me to play Colby round 1. Not impossible for me to play Colby, but it'd have to be round 2.
Okay.
Because I'd be playing the bottom seed of the GN division, so that's Sukaba, BB Raf, Rich Weave. Yes, I think Casey got officially knocked out, unfortunately.
Yeah.
No, Casey's not officially knocked out. But Ferrat got knocked out with the loss. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
Ferrat really was knocked. The thing is that Ferrat is only like one differential off of being able to be qualified. No, I think Ferrat can still make. I don't know who the get matchups is, but I think Ferrat can technically still make it if everyone else just loses hard. No. Ferrat's a -4, so they can't beat the a -2 from BB Raf and Sukaba. So your encore shenanigans were the entire reason that Ferrat couldn't make playoffs. How do you feel about that?
You know, if I had to like pick like a like new like tiny rival, Ferrat is one of them. I'm excited to see Ferrat next season, and I'm getting him next season. So okay. Ferrat, the Queen's Majesty is coming for you. Okay, I don't know if Ferrat if Ferrat watches the video, let alone this far in. But thank you to anyone who has watched. This has been an incredible video. Thank you so much for hopping on. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Like I said, this has been great for me. I feel like it really has helped me like cap off my season. And so I'm again excited for the next one. Awesome. So the channel link below is technically Colby's, but you do feature your videos there and occasionally in Colby's videos. So definitely go and check that out. And it also has a bunch of Star Wars the trading card game videos. If I ever want to figure out like I just have the energy to learn about it, I might put them on. So thank you everyone, and goodbye. Bye. Happy Pride. Happy Pride indeed.